All right, I believe we are live. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Virtual Coffee with Ben. My name is Ben Blackman. I am the Director of Development for RIDG, that is Royal Innovation Design Group, which is a group of innovation consultants based in St. Petersburg, Florida. Before we get started today, as always, I want to encourage everybody out there to go to the RIDG YouTube page to subscribe to our channel. You can also go to the RIDG Facebook page to like and share all of our great content. And you can also schedule your own virtual coffee session with me. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're on the show. If you want to be on the show, you can be on the show. But we can also just have a chat about how RIDG can help your company innovate more effectively. This show, Virtual Coffee with Ben, which airs every Wednesday at 9 a.m., focuses on how companies strategically plan for the future, how they innovate, and how they create a strong culture for their employees. I'm excited to welcome back today our favorite guest. If you're a fan of the show, you've seen her many times before. She's our returning champion. She's the founder. She's the chief innovation officer. She is Michelle Royal. With us as well is Philip Leslie. Philip is one of our many talented visual strategists, and he's going to be doing a graphic recording of today's interview, which we'll be posting after the show. Thank you both so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. I hope you're both doing well. Michelle, welcome back to the show. It's been about a month or so since we last talked. I know that something that you've been focused on a lot lately has been what you call the future of work. So I'm curious, can you give our viewers some insight on what exactly you mean by the future of work and what you're expecting both in the near term and the long term when it comes to the changes that you're seeing?
Thanks, Ben. And just so everyone knows, Ben and I talk almost every day, but when it comes to the show, this is the first time I've been back on in about a month. And what's really exciting in the nature of the work that we do, specifically our business innovation and leadership design program, is that we are consistently helping organizations evaluate their long-term strategy, their investment in innovation, and what that means for their individual workers and how they're going to, all the employees in the company and how they're going to contribute to the value creation within the organization. And so this topic of the future of work is hot right now. It's probably all over LinkedIn if you type in the future of work, and it's because COVID and the pandemic caused organizations to either completely shut down, some industries completely shut down, some many small businesses, some large organizations. There's been freezes in both financial as well as work effort, financial investment as well as work effort. And so now we feel as though we are coming out of, just coming out of this experience to some extent, but we've learned a lot. And so the future of work has been a topic with many of our executive level C-suite clients who are examining the strategy of what they're going to focus on in 2021. Essentially, we've weathered the storm. And what the gift from the pandemic has been, or from COVID has been, it's been the ability for us to be launched into a transformation that we thought was going to be anywhere from 2 to possibly 10 years out. Everything from remote working to working from home. Remote working could be working anywhere other than the office, working from home, being all of your work effort happening from the comfort of your own home environment, and all of the distractions that come with that. And then there are some industries that have been completely disrupted. So the future of work is really the future of business. It's really the future of the individual within this system, which now is being automated at a rapid scale. Collaboration from a remote or virtual standpoint has been amplified from a massive scale. But at the end of the day, it's about the mechanisms that help businesses serve and therefore grow in this emergent market. There's so many opportunities. And we saw this with the last recession in 2008, 2009, 2010, or really if you look at after 9/11, and then that was when it really hit in sort of that 2005 to 2009 timeframe. So many disruptions and so many emergent businesses came out of that. We're in the midst of, we're on the cusp of, we're in the beginning of that great exploration. And so the future of work really is the future of business. And as far as what we're learning, and these are just, again, there's signals and there's noise. Signals are things that I pay attention to, or that individuals might pay attention to because we're all experiencing it. Noise would just be static, what's interrupting, what's distracting. And that is the point. There is a ton of noise. But I'm standing in the grocery line, all right? Standing in the grocery line, buying my groceries, cooking a lot more at home. That was one of the great things of the pandemic. And I look over to the newsstand, and what do I see but the New Yorker magazine, and many other, let's say, publications that speak to either, just a variety of intelligence and professionals and individuals talk about self-care at work. And it's a hot topic. So the future of work right now, if we look at the big theme, it's about this balance of mental, emotional, and physical health, in addition to the completion of the work product itself. Work days are expanding. We were just talking before, 10-hour days are commonplace or more. And then the stress of having to manage the distractions of serving family, children, significant others. If you're a boomer who's taking care of an elderly parent, just the distractions that you are co-managing in your work environment, because your work environment is home. Self-care and work care are becoming one and the same. And it's a hot topic now. So the immediate future of work is all about learning how to manage oneself and the internal mechanisms, in addition to the management of the work and the external experience that your clients are having.
So you talked about some of those trends that you're seeing, the focus on mental health, which is great, the focus on balancing, whether it's work from home or remote working. Are you seeing any big mistakes that are being made by companies, areas that are being completely overlooked, perhaps?
Well, I don't know that there's any organization right now, because I'm not talking to every organization, but I don't know any organization that isn't feeling the impact or is seeing that, making the assumption that business is as usual. So if there was a mistake, if anyone was having a trick in their thinking or a fault in their thinking, it is assuming that business is usual. Now, I've talked to many professionals who have said, I've been through the rise and fall of multiple recessions over the last 30 years or so. I personally, professionally and personally have been through, this is the second major recession that we've been through, or the second major, let's say, fallout or hit or transformation, where an external environmental factor dramatically impacted the global economy. So when you've been through, some history does leave clues. This, however, where everybody on the planet has been affected. It doesn't matter what your caste system is, what your financial status is, what profession you are engaged in, if it's considered white collar work, blue collar work, or, just the billions of individuals that are still working in the fields, or just, the general everyday. It doesn't matter what kind of work you do, you are being impacted by this invisible force called COVID. And because of that, it feels different and it has a different implication. Strategic leaders, those that we work with, are all considering what those implications are overall for the business system. So if there is a mistake, it's either making assumptions based on all of, everything that's happening, either that machines are going to take over and there's not going to be a future of work,
Mhm.
or not preparing for the change of what it requires to be in this future work state. It's, we still need people to serve individuals in face to face. That was the big thing over the last, 8 months. You still need service workers. You still need individuals in restaurants. You still need doctors and nurses, and you still need all of the individuals or the people who are doing this face to face work. Not all work can be virtual or collaborative. As a matter of fact, there's some interesting studies. I'm going to go on a total tangent now, Ben.
That's all right.
There's this book called that has nothing at all to do with work, but it's called Hold Me Tight. And it's actually about relationships. And there used to be a practice that whenever children would go into the hospital, the parents were not allowed to see them. And what they found was that whenever individuals go into a difficult, which is exactly what's happened with COVID. If you have COVID and you end up in the hospital, you can see no one. And what they found was, I'm like going off on all these tangents, but with preemie babies, they used to do the same thing. And what they found was that human connection or human touch was actually very healing or balancing or restorative or connective. There is human work to be done. I believe the future of work is highly human. And I don't mean that and that doesn't mean that I don't take into account the profits or the finance of the system that's going to benefit from that human connection. But our core belief is that innovation is about by and for humans. Hands down, technology enables that. Automation enables that. AI will enable that. But what will it enable? It will enable stronger, faster, deeper, richer human connection. Human connection is the work of the future. Connecting to ideas that are going to mobilize whole new systems and business models that are going to emerge whole new, when I say business systems, complete new economic systems or systems which will drive the economies of change. So this theory from this book on Hold Me Tight, which is about whenever you isolate humans, they are unable to restore or heal because they're lacking that human connection. There's some truth behind that. And I think that where business leaders may miss the mark is that they just focus on empathy, looking for where they can make money versus look at the real core of what they're trying to achieve. We could look at a case study, right? A simple case study called from a movie about a company called General Magic, which took some of the individuals who created Apple essentially and put them in this petri dish of experimentation, and they created the first touch screen. It was way before its time. But what they were building were technologies that were 100% focused on human connection. It was way before its time. General Magic created the first, like I said, the first touch screen. The people who used it were all of their friends and family. So I think they sold maybe 1 million, but it was all people who knew the story of the product itself. And it failed. The company failed. But the technology that came out of that went to our iPhones, iPads, iPods, was sold and dispersed. But it was all focused on connecting humans and connecting humans to their passions and connecting humans to each other, which is what you need for innovation. So that would help me, that's sort of the genesis or I would say the energy or the spirit behind the future of work is still about human connection and how technology enables it.
So along the lines of the human connection, we talk a lot about service experiences here at RIDG, and I know that's something you've been focused on a lot in helping our clients to understand the importance of a profitable service experience. Can you explain kind of how you help companies design the service experiences and the impact that they can have? Obviously, having an impact to the bottom line is the most important thing, but
Yeah.
what are the other benefits that you can have by just having a better service experience overall, and how do you do that?
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about etymology of a word. Company. Because sometimes when and the reason why I want to talk about it, the origin of the word company is because, and when we often think about companies and service experiences and innovation, we often don't associate that or align that at all with profitability. And I want to be very clear here by using the origin of the word company. Company, from a Latin perspective, compani, to make bread together. It is about nourishing each other, and it is about a group of people who choose to fulfill that act together. It started, or how the word evolved, or the history of the word company and how it has evolved as a legal system, as an individual entity now that can be protected. It is protected because it is essentially allowing a group of individuals to make something together that is sustaining and nourishing them. And let's not mistake that the core, if you think about a company as an organism, the lifeblood of a company is finance, is the money that flows through. Therefore, when we talk about the service experience is about how a customer or a client is receiving the ultimate value of what all of these individuals are building together. And it should be as nourishing and rich for them as it is for the individuals fulfilling the work. And I believe that in the service experience design, where the opportunities lie is in understanding the depth of connection that can happen, and then how that can fulfill not only the value promise of the organization, but also the financial requirements, or the board requirements, or the strategies, or whatever market leadership this organization is trying to fulfill, or the company is trying to fulfill. The service experience is the manifestation, or the amplification, or the ultimate, show, the creation, what it is that what they're delivering on. But I think if we look at the why a company exists, or where it came from, or its origins, we find, again, humans working together to nourish each other and fulfill each other, fill their bellies, fill their minds, fill their lives. And it's about survival. So we're doing this work because we have this specific trade expertise. It's very different today than it was, 400 years ago, or even 100 years ago. And as the times evolve, so do we. At the core of it, though, is that connection to being able to support each other and fulfill each other in a community sense. But I don't have any rose-colored glasses about what the formal function of a company is around its financial requirements to its stakeholders, its board, its shareholders, each other, or its clients at the end of the day. Did I answer the question, Ben?
Yeah. And I'm always curious too, because you have all these great experiences. Last time you were on, I think we talked about your experience with Delta, and how that was it really had a lasting impression on you in a positive way. I'm curious, since the last time we talked, if you've had any other service experiences, whether it be positive or negative, that really stood out to you.
Well, so I've flown a couple times since then. And the Delta experience has been the same. It's been amazing. But what I think is, what I think is probably more interesting now is, if we are to create the thread between this self-care at work, this idea of a company building something together to nourish each other, the intense distractions and stress that are happening from the increased demands, sometimes decreased productivity. We work with a lot of service-based organizations. And so we end up in this service experience mindset. Is what are people doing? Where are they turning to try to solve some of those challenges? And one of the one of the things that I feel lucky is that because I'm in this innovation world, I have a tendency to live on the fringes of what I try to take what's on the fringe and make it applicable to today. Is this idea of biohacking, which we've had lots of conversations about, which isn't a service experience, but how do you, and I think the question for an organization is, how do we accelerate the ability for our employees to feel cared for? I talked to so many professionals who have invested thousands upon thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in employee experiences in this virtual world to try to enhance or fulfill or sustain or provide that caring environment.
Mhm.
But the real question that they're asking is, how do we support our teams and accelerate their ability to feel fulfilled and to not feel the stress, right? How do we both improve their abilities, decrease their stress, give them something that makes them feel like the company's caring about them? Because it's very difficult when you aren't around other individuals to have that, to the point of when humans are together, then they can feel that connection and caring more. And so, so I've had some interesting explorations in the world of biohacking where you can accelerate an hour of meditation in 15 minutes. And we do a hack in our company called the reset breath, which is a 1 breath meditation, which sounds impossible, but it's strictly a function of breathing all of your air out. So instead of taking a deep breath in, you start with an exhale, and then you inhale, and then you exhale. And it was coined by this place called the HeartMath Institute. Now, I'm not saying that every company needs to be hyper focused on human biology, neurology, the parasympathetic nerve system. They don't need to be obsessed with that. But what I will say, and high performance athletes, astronauts, individuals who are who are playing at the edge of their craft, meaning they've mastered all of the disciplines and they are on the fringe. The Sherpas who are guiding individuals to Mount Everest, they are all having to go through and push themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, much like we are here in this environment, in this virtual work environment. This is a real fringe experience for most of us. And they are utilizing tricks of mind and body to be able to fulfill specific acts of achievement, which is what we are trying to help organizations do within their innovation process. And we do that using tools and frameworks and mechanisms that at the end of it, teams aren't even fully conscious of what they've been through. They just know that they've achieved something really great together. They have either achieved their financial goals or they've achieved some major new market initiative. They've grown their clients or expanded their clients beyond belief. They've deepened their relationships. They've entrenched themselves as thought leaders, or established their foundation or established their ownership or leadership through thought leadership. But I don't want to say it feels like magic because there's a science behind this whole idea of biohacking, which is a matter of taking the mind and body and aligning it to such an extreme sense that you can accelerate the outcomes of what it is you're trying to achieve.
Interesting stuff for sure. I'll have to do a little deeper dive into the biohacking, make sure that I'm on the level here. But if you're just joining us, you are watching Virtual Coffee with Ben. I'm Ben Blackman. I'm the Director of Development for RIDG, that's Royal Innovation Design Group, and I'm joined today by our founder and Chief Innovation Officer. She is Michelle Royal. If you like what you're hearing, you want more of this content, you can go to our YouTube page and hit subscribe, or go to our Facebook page to like and share all this good stuff. Now, we've talked about future of work, we've talked about service experiences, and we've even dabbled into biohacking, which is a totally new concept for me. One thing we haven't done, and we've had Michelle on multiple times, we haven't really gotten to know Michelle on a personal level. So I'm going to take you through what we call the VGT Fast Five, the
Oh,
Benny Good Times Fast Five questions, to give our audience just a little bit more information, a little glimpse into the life of Michelle Royal. So 5 quick questions,
okay.
starting with number 1. I'm curious, what is your favorite thing about the St. Pete area?
Oh gosh, so I was born and raised in Arkansas. This is going to be a long answer. I was born and raised in Arkansas. So I'm a Southern girl at heart. My parents were from Chicago. That's where I received my first graduate degree from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. And I loved Chicago because it felt like such a rich culture town. It felt like a really big town, not a city. And whenever I came to Florida, accidentally, honestly, but then came to St. Pete, visited St. Pete often, it felt like a small city. And I don't know how to explain it other than that, but I love the art. I love the culture. I love the people. I love the food. I love the scene. I love the community. It's such a friendly place to live. And one of my favorite things is just its connection to nature, its commitment to the waterfront, and like just like Chicago, where you have Michigan, Magnificent Mile, and then you have all of this waterfront activity. Unfortunately, Chicago, it just has a lot of driving along the waterfront along Lake Michigan. But in Tampa Bay, St. Pete sits on the bay, and there's miles and miles. I mean, you run in the morning along the pier. The pier just opened, but you can walk for roughly a half marathon, like 13 miles, and never leave the waterfront. And it's beautiful and pristine, and there's dolphins. That spirit, like I just feel so connected to the people and the culture and nature.
All right.
Yeah.
Totally agree. So now that we've talked about how much we love St. Pete, the next question is about what if you left St. Pete? So if I'm giving you a free ticket anywhere in the world to travel, I know you love to travel, as do I. If you could go anywhere in the world, where are you going?
Well, I have an affinity for Iceland. I love Iceland. Whenever I'm asked in a meditation, I was listening to a meditation yesterday that was talking about go to this place, and I imagine myself. I actually have a picture of it on my desktop. I imagine myself in one of the thermal spas, which is the because the Iceland has all these public waters that you can get like a YMCA, but instead it's the thermal, like incredible water from the volcanic island that bubbles up. And so they have these thermal baths, and so I imagine myself surrounded by volcanic rock in Iceland, and there's just something about that island that pulls at my heartstrings. I don't think I'll ever live there, but it is the one place that I often think about going to. And second place would be any place with mountains. So even though I love St. Pete because I live here and it's where my love is and my life is and my business is, I love mountains. And on top of that, I love Iceland.
Great. I think you're the first person to ever compare the hot springs in the mountains of Iceland to a YMCA. So,
Well, if you go,
not
if you
quite
go
the
to
YMCA
Reykjavik,
experience I had growing up, but
if you go to Reykjavik, but if you go to Reykjavik, you can either go to like what they call the Blue Lagoon, which is a man-made place, or you can go to in the city of Reykjavik. There's where the public goes every single day, and everything from that's where the kids learn how to swim, and they go year round. So the concrete is heated, and then they have their cedar spa, which is like, again, it's thermally heated, volcanic thermal heat, and then they have the pools, and you can do a cold plunge or a hot plunge. But there's people who go there every single day, and you can talk to the locals, and it's just a really incredible experience.
Sounds great.
But it's like a public pool, so
it's very high on my list.
Yeah.
Question number 3 is, what is your favorite movie?
It depends on the genre. However, the most influential movie for me in my life was a movie that I saw when I was 19 years old, called Mind Walk. And it was based on Franz Capra's The Tao of Physics. And it was a movie about a physicist, a politician, and a poet. And they meet on Mont Saint Michel, which is this island in the north of France, just north of Pontorson. And this island is where a monastery was built, and then an entire community was built around it. And in the day, the tide is out, and you could walk to the island. Now they have a driveway that goes to the island from the north of France, but during the day, the tide is out, and it's just sand, and you can walk all around. And then at night, the tide comes in and it surrounds the island. And so it was all about quantum physics and energy and energy flow. And it was just so influential to me in my early young adult life. And so as a result, it's my all-time favorite movie. And then I would say second to that would be, anyway, we could go genres and holidays and all of the above things that have, memory anchors and things like that. But
Yeah.
I'm a huge Will Ferrell fan. I'll pretty much watch anything, Talladega Nights, Anchorman, etc. I will reference a lot of comedy.
All good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. If you were put on stage for a talent show, what would you do?
I probably would. What would I do? The first thing that came to mind is I would sing. However, if I could do anything, I would be one of those, like, how people look like they're mind readers because they're just listening and sensing. That's probably what I try to do.
Like John Edwards, like the
Yes.
whatever that guy's name is.
Yes.
Speaks to the dead. Okay. Well, we won't even touch that. We'll move on to question 5. Who is your hero or your biggest inspiration, and why?
Oh, wow. I wish I had known that one, the fast 5 on that. I have a lot of heroes. Let me see here. I feel blessed and highly favored in my life. Even though whatever challenges I've faced, I've been extremely lucky to always have believers in my corner. And so as a result, my first believers would be my family. And I years ago did a talk about my mom called The Unconventional Entrepreneur, in which I talked about and shared our transformation in our relationship. And I talked about my dad as the consummate entrepreneur. They both kind of have equal weight in my life and how they influenced me. My father and mom went from bankruptcy to living the American dream with just a high school education. And they showed me the power of hard work. They also showed me the power of leveraging your ability to connect with other people and to be able to achieve what looked like impossibilities. But at the core of it, the gift that they gave me and why it is the ultimate hero strength is that they believed in me deeply. And that may seem like an obligation of a parent, but knowing if we all knew the intricacies of where we came from and who we are and the challenges that we faced, there would be a deeper understanding of why that seemed like an impossibility for me at the time that I was growing up throughout my life. But my dad gave me the skills and tools of internal self-talk and internal self-dialogue. And he used to say to me, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. But he gave that gift of belief to me. And then my mom just created that nurturing environment the best way that she knew how.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing that. That was really powerful. And I'm sure they're proud. So any parting words for our audience? Anything you would like to direct them to online? Obviously, we want to encourage everybody to go to ridge.com, RIDG.com. Anything else that you want to turn people on to?
Well, let's see. That's not really a great answer, is it? um, we have been cultivating a process and a product and a service experience called Build Business Innovation and Leadership Design. And everything we've talked about today are principles that underlie that program. We believe in the power of human potential. So we believe in your ability to innovate. We understand the process of innovation at our organization, meaning from ideation all the way to fulfillment, and the value that each individual brings, from that complete creative generative energy to the risk compliance at the very end, to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed from a simple standpoint. And then we deeply understand the importance of the financial and the physical and the technological commitments that are required to drive that change, and how everyone can win from that process. And so, so check out Build, check out our business innovation and leadership design. If you are interested in finding out how you are an innovator and how we see that, or evaluating, having us do an evaluation on where you stand in your innovation capacity, we'd love to talk to you about that.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for joining me this morning. It was great talking to you as always. Thanks to Philip Leslie for doing a graphic recording. Again, we'll be posting this interview and the final graphic recording on our social media channels. And we will see you next Wednesday. We will have Jill St. Thomas. She's the executive director of Tampa Bay Tech. So look forward to that, and take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.